Success in the life of one often brings ugly jealousies with others. We compare ourselves, and that causes problems. James warns us of this danger of self-seeking envy that Saul has that is so ugly. He's on this spiral downward. The first time we looked at him with David, we saw the kingdom was being taken from him. He was rebellious and disobedient. Now he's rebellious and disobedient and so jealous that he wants to kill David. And so James warns us of this self-seeking envy in James 3:14 and 16. But if you have bitter envy and self-seeking in your heart, see, what makes you jealous of someone is self-seeking, instead of being happy for someone that they have had success or that something good has happened to them. You're only seeking your own way. Now, I need to say before we get too much farther talking about jealousy, that there is a proper jealousy of a woman and a man who are committed to one another, and one is unfaithful to the other, and it breeds jealousy. That's not the kind of jealousy we're talking about. There is a justified jealousy. God said to Israel, I am jealous of you, my people, because they'd gone out and served false idols, and God was jealous of them. God was not jealous in the way that Saul was jealous here. That was what, when Oprah Winfrey had read that God was a jealous God, she said, I can't serve a jealous God, because she couldn't be nuanced enough. That's a problem. Life is nuanced. The Bible is full of nuance. And there are times when it's proper to be jealous, right? Someone's hitting on your wife, you better be like, you know what? Something's gonna go down. I'm not saying to go do anything, all right? I'm just saying you gotta take care of business, right? You gotta get your wife out of there, you gotta show her you love her, whatever it is. There's a time for a proper jealousy. This is not a proper jealousy. And a proper jealousy would be self-seeking. Well, excuse me, a proper jealousy would not be self-seeking. We can identify jealousy that is not proper when we are self-seeking. It's about us. It goes on to say, but if you have bitter envy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast and lie against the truth. This wisdom does not come from above, but is earthly, sensual, and demonic. The wisdom of being jealous. Notice the three things it is. It is earthly, it is sensual, and it is demonic. For where envy and self-seeking exist, confusion and every evil thing are there. Now, having said that there can be a proper jealousy between a man and a wife, there can also be an improper jealousy, where there's accusations where there's nothing, where there's thoughts and adding to things when there isn't. This is the wisdom that is from the world. The passage goes on to say the wisdom that is from God is a wisdom that will listen to other people, that will follow what they have said. I should have wrote down exactly what the rest of the verse says. Proverbs 14:30 says, a sound heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. If you can't be happy for someone who has received something, it's going to bring rottenness to your bones. That's a pretty strong statement. That's what we find happening in the life of Saul. He becomes the example of someone so full of this envy that it brings rottenness to his bones. Proverbs 27:4 says, wrath is cruel and anger a torrent, but who is able to stand before jealousy? Jealousy is one of those motivations that those involved in solving crimes will look to. Was this a murder of jealousy? There are only a handful of things that people will murder for. Power, jealousy, or just a couple of them. Philippians 2:3 says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit. Again, it's self-seeking. If what you're doing out of selfish ambition, then when someone else is recognized, you're jealous of them. If you're not doing it out of selfish ambition, you really have the right heart, and it's not conceit, then you'll be able to rejoice in it. But in lowliness of mind, it says, let each esteem others better than himself. Can you really do that? Can we really do that? Where we can say other people are better than me, instead of thinking that we are better than other people that end up in the result of jealousy. Now, it says don't do anything out of selfish ambition. And quite frankly, that's a difficult thing for us to really to go through. We can do it through Christ who strengthens us, that we do not fall underneath it, but it's so important for us to understand that and to evaluate, am I doing what I'm doing for God? Am I doing what I'm doing because God wants me to minister to my home, my family, or am I doing it for myself? 1 Corinthians 10:12 says, for we dare not class ourselves to compare ourselves with those who commend themselves. But they, measuring themselves by themselves, are comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise. Now that verse is a mouthful to read. I mean, it's to go through, but there's a couple of things being said there. First of all, if you compare yourself to someone who is successful, maybe more successful than you, and you compare yourself to them, that's not wise. And if you compare yourself to someone that you're better than, that's not wise either. It's better to just think, I need to faithfully do what God's called me to do and not compare myself to someone else. Because there's always going to be somebody who's more successful than you. And there's always going to be somebody who isn't. You can make yourself feel good or you can make yourself feel bad. It's better to say, Lord, I just want to serve you. I want to follow you. I want to do what you called me to do. All we have to do is what's put in front of us. That's it. What we receive from God, it's our plate. Sometimes life is like being at a restaurant and having food envy. You have that happen to you? You order your food, then they bring the plate for your wife and you're like, that looks really good. You want what's on their plate. You want to trade? You know? You look around the table. Wish I would order that. I wish I would order that. Anything but this. We get food envy in life and in ministry instead of doing what's on our plate. And just going, all I've got to do, I'm just responsible for what's on my plate. And may God bless others in great ways. Also, there has to be, for people who do great things, when I'm thinking of the pastoral role, and I'm thinking of people that God uses in just absolutely outstanding, fantastic ways, there's a lot that goes with it. There's a lot that men like Greg Laurie or Charles Swindoll have to end up putting up with in order to minister on the levels that they are. And God has to give them that. And I think sometimes we forget that and we don't see that. We see that they're being used. We see that they're well known, but we don't see all the sacrifices that come with being used at a higher level. And we're made for where we are.